Hello and welcome to this installment of Chanka Network. Today we have an interview with the pro player and streamer Z1ronic. I tried to cut this interview down as much as possible, but there's so much we talked about that it's still quite long. Some of the things we discussed are the pro scene, Z1ronic's glorious beard, Rainbow Six Siege itself, the new map leaks, and how it was casting and playing in the LAN finals. If there's any feedback, let me know in the comments, and let me know who else you want to see me interview. I should have some more coming up soon. Have you seen the leaks for that upcoming map?
Yes.
The theme park?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't see much, but what do you think about the look of it?
I'm interested to see like if we're talking something like a consulate size, how long it's gonna take to how do I put that? Learn, well, I guess the meta of the map, because it's getting harder and harder and harder to learn maps now because we got more and more operators, and I mean even now we're finding new stuff in Oregon, right?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be really interesting to see how the game turns out or the map turns out.
I really like the look of it, like the visual art, the abandoned theme.
Yeah.
I really love things like that. Like, I'm a huge Fallout fan, so that really...
I've been zooming in and out a lot of the map as well, like trying to figure out where the bomb sites could be and how it's the whole thing, like the flow of the map and stuff. But it's almost impossible before you get in there. Because I remember Favela, I saw a picture of that above as well. And yeah, no, I had no idea what that map was going to be.
Yeah. Speaking of Favela, what's your least favourite map in the game right now?
Without a doubt.
Really?
House. The map.
House over Favela?
Way too small.
Yeah.
In terms of, so when you open up the main door in house and you make one hole through, you got the entire map cut down into two sections, I guess. But there's no possible way of rotating or changing from one end of the map to the other.
Right.
Without being spotted. I think for defenders, it's just the only way you can play that map is by being overly aggressive, and the only thing it takes for the attackers to stop that is to just calm down a bit. Really not a big fan of that map.
Okay.
And it's the only map I truly despise. Everything else I'm okay with playing, and I'll find my way around it. But house, no. House is just, you take Ash and you run around and you see what you can do.
Yeah. I'm just gonna quickly change the Discord server to it's American right now. I'll change it back to Europe. There we go. So what is your thoughts on Barlet? Because I see a lot of people kind of split on this, I think. For the people I've talked to, at least.
For me, Barlet was more something to make the community happy.
Yeah.
They wanted Barlet, and they got Barlet. I don't think it was ever intended as a competitive map, because if you look at every other map, none of them have only one door you can get in through, right?
Yeah.
That, like, no, you can't make a map competitive if there's only one.
Well, they never bothered putting it in the Pro League rotation, did they? Oh, I see you got the little E3 charm. That doesn't look anywhere as bad in-game as it did in that advertisement picture. Or the leak or whatever it was. I can't remember how it came out first.
I love it, man. It's my little pride possession. Yeah, sorry, about Barlet. The whole idea of there only being one doorway and the hatch, the place it's located and stuff. It's amazing for the Article 5. Like, Article 5 is legit a fun thing.
Yeah.
But no. That map competitive? No.
Yeah.
And I can only look at a map as, like, judge the competitive aspects of it. The fun aspects doesn't really mean too much to me, because I don't know. This game for me is not something I would never sit down and, like, relax with Siege. Siege is, for me, I want to win.
Yeah.
I want to shoot as many people as I can and win as much as I can. That's it.
Which is fair enough. I mean, this is a very tense game.
Yeah.
So
without that,
I'd be surprised if many people sit down to relax with this. If they do, I think they're probably crazy, or they do things like all recruit squads or something.
I have games that I can play to relax or just to enjoy that game, and Siege doesn't do that for me. Siege for me is I go into like the flow state, where you're really focused about winning every engagement, all of that. Sure, I can have fun in Siege and joke around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then when you start losing a bit of stuff, something just clicks in me, and I'm like, okay, now we start playing again.
Yeah.
Now we win.
What games do you play to kind of chill with then?
I really enjoy like very good story driven games like Last of Us, Uncharted, Metal Gear Solid. I'm a huge fan of that.
Okay.
And right now, the only two games I really play is PUBG and Siege.
Do you find
sorry?
Do you play PUBG to relax, or is that again a game you play?
I haven't really figured out yet because when I play PUBG, it's because I'm taking a quick break off Siege just to do something else.
Yeah.
And I find myself running around in PUBG doing a lot of stuff I probably shouldn't be doing if I wanted to win.
Right.
So I think that's my my outlet to just relax and chill.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough.
Although I do get crazy adrenaline spikes while playing that game.
More so than Siege, or about the same?
Way more.
Really?
Than Siege. But I think that's because Siege is like you're getting comfortable at some point, right?
I suppose.
For me to get like shaky now, I think it has to be LAN or casting or something.
Okay.
I can't in a ranked match or a Go 4 match or something. I can't get my pulse up and running anymore now. Season 3 Katowice kind of changed that whole thing. Like you're shaking for an hour before the match. Because then when you get back home, you're like, well, this isn't that bad. And then you just, that becomes your reference point.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine how stone cold some of the people that play or have played LAN a lot of times gotta be when they're just playing the game.
Yeah, I can imagine Ents are pretty used to it now.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
that was a beautiful C4.
MLG, man.
How did you get into Siege in the first place? Was you in beta or?
Yeah, I tested it out in the beta with an old friend I used to play CS with, and we were both very how do I put it? We weren't sold.
Oh, at first.
Yeah, no. We played it a bit and we went, this is not good, man. No. And then we went back and we played a lot of CS.
Right.
And then the game came out and I was like, it's only a few bucks. I'll buy it and then try. See, maybe I'll like it.
Yeah.
Then within like some of the first few hours of playing ranked, we farmed up so we could play ranked. I can't remember if you could play it right off the bat or how it was. But we just started playing ranked and we just wanted to see what the whole thing was about. We're gonna give it like a week or something.
Okay.
And I get a C4 where I killed 2 or 3 people while throwing the C4 at a wall. And I only wanted to make a hole. I didn't know there was anyone there. And that gave me way too much joy. Like realizing that was a thing you could do in the game, I was like, damn, yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
And then I started realizing after playing it for a bit longer that I knew absolutely nothing about the game. Like, even though you're maybe getting a decent amount of frags every round and you were maybe winning quite a lot of the games, I still felt like I didn't have any clue what was going on. Because every time a new hole was opened up or something, I got surprised and I was like, oh, damn, you can see from here to here?
Yeah.
Wow. And that's what kept me in it. The fact that I still today don't feel like I know everything about it, even though putting plus 2,000 hours in. You still every now and then learn a new thing, which I've never been able to do that with another shooter.
For sure.
Ever.
This game is really good with that, especially with the new operators that they add. Like, it always reinvents the maps.
Yeah, like Hibana, for example, she completely changed at least a fifth of the maps, at least.
Yeah.
As in, like, changed what possible bomb sites you could play and stuff like that. And over half of them got like a little meta rework where, okay, now you can do some things that you wouldn't be able to before otherwise. I really like that. I like the little mix of how do I say it? Like this isn't just a shooter. It's kind of like a MOBA shooter thing where everything has its little role and changes the flow of the game and what you can do and what's smart to do, and it's just the skill curve is just so much bigger than just learn to get better aim or learn better angles and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I really enjoy the fact that you can outsmart people, and you can, oh, where's this guy? You can outsmart people, and you can also just outfrag them. But both are equally viable things to do.
So how did you meet playing ducks, or the rest of the team that was playing ducks?
Well, I started playing out in. I got an invite to Pro League team back in season 1, and got an invite to a better Pro League team after that, and we then ended up changing organization.
Okay.
Which then was from TCM to Playing Ducks.
Right.
And then we've changed quite a few players over the course of a few seasons.
Yeah.
Some wanted to stop, some just wanted other teams, and yeah, it's just a mixed match of competitive players now. But basically we went out and said, okay, we're looking for a new opportunity, new organization, and Playing Ducks came to us and said, hey, we can offer you this and that, and then we gave that a shot.
Okay. And that's working out for you so far?
So far, yeah. So far, we've been very happy there. But Siege is a very young game in the way that organization-wise, you don't need an organization to have a Pro League team. As you could see with now ENCE, they were with Sisu, which was just their own makeshift org for a long time because they didn't feel like they had anything to gain from an org yet. And they then got a good offer from ENCE, right?
Yeah.
So you don't need an organization in this time of the game. It's really nice if you have one, but you should never sell yourself just to have a tag on. It has to be a mutual beneficial thing.
Okay. So what does an org provide? Because I mean, Continuum and Vertical Gaming are the same. Vertical Gaming is basically like a brand new org. Well, actually, they both kind of are doing the same thing. It was their own thing for Siege, right? But now they're expanding.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, the real good reason to have an org is that they're supposed to take care of all your make PR for your players, do the player branding, and make sure that everyone gets some good exposure and stuff like that. Then, of course, if you're going to travel to smaller lands where travel and living isn't provided by the organization, or not the organization, the tournament holder, then they'll help you out with that. They're providing, of course, merchandise, team gear, keyboards, mice, whatever you need from their sponsors. And they then in exchange for PR from the team being known, or whatever you want to call it, that's their profit. Because you can say if a team blows up in a game like Siege, they get quite a big following, which then in return sells fan gear, just t-shirts with logos on you. Like, you don't have to sell that many of those to be able to provide a full team with merchandise, right?
So was Siege your first esports, or had you been playing competitive in other games?
It depends a bit on it. It's not my first competitive, but it's my first of this size. I played UK Premiership in CS, and I played in some good teams and some other games, but it was always just like top 10 ESL of what we would probably. I guess it would be the equivalent to what we're in Challenger League in Siege now. Like that was the top of what I ever played competitive before. I played some Battlefield, some COD 2 back in the day, Call of Duty 4 Pro Mod. Got a immense amount of hours in that game. But no, Siege is the first one where competitive was a thing that made me travel.
So what was it like at, in Poland at the finals?
It's you don't really realize it while you're there. I think like you gotta get back home and then reflect on it first, because when you get there, the only thing you're thinking about is oh shit, this match coming up.
Yeah.
But it was crazy, man. Like you don't realize what you're actually doing there until you get back home. You were told the viewership of the match after we. Oh, that was the guy very close here. We're told about the viewership of the match a little bit after the match, and my jaw just dropped. I never thought that amount of people was going to be watching. And I was very happy that I didn't know while playing the match, because I think that might have scared me a little bit.
Did they tell you, was it after you're knocked out, or did they tell you just after each match?
No, they told us after the final, and I think they only told us because they were genuinely surprised.
Yeah.
Like, the viewer count was amazing in that final. But no, I'm happy I didn't know during the match. I would have been way more nervous or scared than I otherwise would have been.
Yeah, I definitely think that would add to the pressure.
And it surprised me a bit that a game can do this, because I was a firefighter for 3 years, and I really thought it took a lot to like get me shaking.
Yeah.
But playing a finals, that stuff that makes you shaky, man. Like that makes you real shaky. Even the casting thing I was doing in Finland was really scary, and I didn't think it would affect me like that.
Well, let's talk about your casting for a little bit, because was the first time you ever casted, was that with the was it BR6 that you did, or was it no, it was DreamHack, was it? I'm confused now.
Yeah, I did. No, the first thing I did was like a little testing with Milos on his stream, doing the BR6 English version.
Yeah, that's that.
The only reason I did that was because I was asked to cast with him at the Summer Assembly the DreamHack Summer Assembly in Finland.
So you knew that was coming up?
Yeah, I knew it was coming up, but I was asked like a week or two in advance, and I'd never casted anything before. And I was like, sure, I'll do it, but I have no idea what I'm doing. And then Milos was nice enough to try and pull me in to help him cast that one there, just as a little pre-run to test the waters.
Mm-hmm.
It was easy enough doing it when you're just sitting at home, leaned back, talking into your own microphone.
Yeah.
No one's watching. You can instead of have a cigarette, drink a cup of coffee and just chill.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get to this huge summer assembly, and there's this whole production crew and cameras everywhere, and you got this little fancy desk and a host and everything, and it's just it's different, man.
Yeah. But I watched the BR6 one that you casted, and I watched the DreamHack finals, and I thought both were really good. So was that?
Thanks,
but they were the first times you casted.
Yeah. Like I was about as clueless as I think you could get. I think the only reference point I had was other people casting it, and then maybe a little bit more background knowledge than what most casters would normally have.
Yeah.
In terms of like meta map flow and stuff like that.
Well, that's crazy. That was your first time. That's crazy. Both you and Meepy did really well, I thought, on the BR6 one.
Yeah, cheers. I'm really happy that people were that nice to us, because I don't know if you've checked like how Twitch chat normally reacts to new stuff.
Yep. Oh,
they
yeah.
they can be real harsh. But
Well, the Pro League one where was it like the week after where Milosh and that German guy did it? I can't remember his name.
yeah,
God.
Runner.
Yes,
No,
yeah.
Argana. Sorry,
Oh, God, yeah. They were fucking brutal for no reason either. Like,
Yeah.
those two are doing totally fine. Like, I think there was some production issues, but I don't think they were their fault. Like with the.
I mean, Argana
mapping
was
and
his
stuff.
first time doing it as well, and he prepped quite a lot before. But
Yeah.
I mean, you can't blame the guy for not knowing, the deepest secrets of how an operator works after 30 seconds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that's something that most of the viewers won't even understand why some of the stuff is being done. But I think
crazy.
people are very hard on newcomers. Where
Yeah.
if they get used to something, they want that, and they don't want anything else.
Yeah. It's very. Twitch chat is like just always awful. Like,
Yeah.
I try not to close it, but I think most of the time I end up closing it just because it's so stupid. But
I think it's a bit fun because you got half of it, which is amazing, which is people just cheering on, getting hyped.
yeah,
Way too hyped for some things, and then you got the other half that are they just hate everything. Like they're not happy people at all.
yeah. I think some people like put it on because they know
Anonymity.
Yeah, well, not just that, but like there's the thing that Twitch chat is cancer, so they just do it anyway because why not?
Yeah, they just roll along because they can.
Yeah,
I guess that makes sense.
but yeah, that was brutal.
But yeah, that's why I was so so happy when I got back to the hotel room and I thought, okay, I shouldn't watch this cast because
What?
I'm just gonna get sad by watching it back.
Yeah,
But I watched it back nonetheless, and everyone was nice. Like there was there wasn't any hate or anything.
yeah. Yeah, that was a good stream from what I remember. I don't remember there being any hate at all, even against either of the teams.
No, yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised. But no, I'd definitely do it again. Like it was really fun afterwards.
That's what I was about to ask. Would you be up for doing it again?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think now I've tried it once. Now it's hopefully not going to be as shaky.
Yeah,
I don't know how noticeable it was, but I was fucking nervous, like really nervous. And I hope I won't get as affected next time.
yeah. Well, I think even if you was nervous, which is understandable, it didn't like interrupt the casting itself. So I don't think it like for the viewers. I don't think it was that.
Yeah, no, okay. It was really bad for me, but as long as it's not bad for the viewers, then that's good.
Because it's not like. Did you watch E3?
Yes. Are you talking about one of the highlight videos there for E3 with people
the
just
EA
being
guy?
very uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that. That was my fear.
Yeah. Well, from what I understand, I was watching the H3 podcast the other day, and he's friends with the guy, and they were saying that EA put him on 10 minutes early. They literally just said to him, "You're on," which is why he was facing the wrong way and stuff, and that's why he was like so. I think it was nerves, but also really shit production where they just said, "Oh, by the way, you're on," without actually warning him beforehand.
Yeah. See, I'd never had anyone. I've never had an earpiece on and then had people tell me what to do.
Yeah.
While trying to fill and speak. So at Assembly, there was a guy saying, "Okay, you do this now or do that now," and then you just gotta change the subject or change what you're doing real quick, but without making it obvious that someone is asking you to do it.
Yeah.
That was really hard to follow that whole like being led float without you can just talk and say whatever you want for 10 minutes straight. If you're asked to fill, they'll be like, okay, you got to talk now for 3 minutes, and then we're gonna run this commercial, do this and do that. you gotta react to that fast, but still not that fast that everyone can see. Okay, someone just told them to change optic.
Yeah.
But they were really nice about the whole thing though. We sat up very late the night before, and they asked a lot about like how Siege was, because they didn't know too much about it. The host never. It was his first time ever hosting a Rainbow Six event, so we basically had to try and teach him the basics of the game.
Okay.
Over one beer the night before.
How did that go?
But they were all super. They were all super nice about it. He was a big Heart of the Storm, or no, Hearthstone caster.
Oh, okay.
The host, so he has a lot of experience with the whole thing, just not Siege.
Yeah. Okay.
The new VoIP in this game, though. Wow.
Oh, I haven't. My volume's too low to notice it, but yeah, I've heard a lot of people saying it's good now.
The first day, everyone thought that people were randomly jumping in on Discord. That's how good it was.
Yeah.
We were having a conversation just like we are now, and
Damn.
a guy starts talking about in-game, and I go, what? I tap out, check Discord. I'm like, no one's in here. I lock the channel, and the guy keeps talking, and I'm like, what's going on? Then we check the scoreboard, and it's a guy in game, and I was just like, what? Okay. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
They have done it. From what I've heard, they've done a really good job with it.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think the last patch overall seems to be pretty good. I know there's the dock glitch, but I'm pretty sure that was in the game before. It's just more people know how to do it before.
That was in before, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that when you do stuff right, people don't really notice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you make a mistake, everyone does.
Yeah.
The unhappy part of our community will always be louder than the happy one.
Yeah.
Because people that are happy and just get on with their day, they're not gonna spend too much time giving good feedback. That's just not in a lot of people's nature, right? You don't say, "Oh, this is well done, good job." But if people are unhappy, they will make sure to tell everyone.
Yeah, and people enjoy being pissed off as well. They like get a...
Yeah. Like some people have it as a hobby, right?
Yeah.
Or at least it seems so. But they fix a lot of some of the smaller, irritating minor issues, like stuff like a Hibana bug that just doesn't happen anymore.
No, that they did a really good job with that.
Yeah, we got so many people saying that the game's worse than it was when it came out. I don't know if those guys ever played it, because I remember the shield glitching and Frost shotgun. People were complaining about Blackbeard being overpowered, but Frost, when she came out, you could shoot people from Big Tower in Oregon down to Garage Spawn with that shotgun.
Yeah.
So the game's more balanced than it's ever been. We don't have half the amount of crashes, and it runs nicely now. With the lighting change coming up as well, I'm really happy about this game.
Yeah, they're doing a good job of it. I'm really hoping... I think they took a big gamble with Operation Health, and I'm really hoping that's going to pay off in the next update.
Thank you.
They definitely took a big gamble. But I think that's one of the things that kind of showed that they care.
Yeah.
It in some sense, right? It takes quite a bit of balls to say, okay, we're going to stop releasing the stuff that pays our bills, and then we're going to make the other thing work.
Yeah, it is a huge gamble. I don't think many people in there, like the kind of casual players, or really notice. Oh shit! Notice that, like how big of a risk it was. They just kind of think like a lot of people think it's a conspiracy because they had they weren't finished with their content.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure that isn't true. Like,
so
99%.
This is one of the things where I can't say too much, but let's just say they're wrong.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
I
with
don't want to get too much in detail with it, but
Uh-huh.
that's not how stuff like this works.
Well, if you look at the first kind of game trailers, nice.
Yeah.
The Blackbeard, not Valkyrie, but Blackbeard is in the trailer.
Yeah.
So I mean, what? How long was it until Dustline came out?
Keep that. Was that the second? Yeah, that was the second.
Was it like
one, right?
6 months? No, it was must have been more than that.
A little
about
bit more
6
than
months.
6 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you follow that analogy, then you can see why the other thing isn't
Yeah.
a thing. Also, it simply wouldn't take that long to make a couple of new operators. That's not what is. So the people that work on, let's say, that's the same whole cosmetic thing that everyone's been complaining about. Why are you making skins? Why not fixing bugs?
Uh-huh.
You don't go and tell your car mechanic to stop painting cars. Like, that's not what he does. A guy fixing bugs is not the guy doing your graphics work. You're not paying a programmer to do that.
I think a lot of people don't understand like basic game development, like the different teams and what they do.
It just seems like not even just game development, but like that's with everything in the world, right? You don't have one guy who's doing everything. And if there was people like that, you'd only hire people like that, because that would make your life a lot easier.
For sure. Like, and even people like there's some people that can do a little bit of everything, so they can code and they can do a bit of art, but most of the time they have a like speciality that they're really focused on and that they're really good at. So like you can have like, for example, look at Minecraft, really shit graphics but really amazing programming, or something the other way, like a walking simulator like DS, for really pretty game, but it's got no code behind it apart from walk.
Yeah. I just look at it like from a business standpoint. If you're paying a guy to be a programmer, would you really have him sit there just doing graphics art?
Yeah.
Where you could hire a freelance designer instead, or just have your graphics artist who's doing, let's say, skins in his free time, or not his free time, but when he's between projects, you got him doing skins, and then when he's not doing skins, he's making artwork or stuff for new maps and stuff. You're paying people to do a certain job, and that's what you're going to ask them to do, of course. I think they must have lost quite a lot of money in terms of what they could have sold in DLC by doing this whole thing. But in the long term, they're hopefully saving the entire game.
Yeah.
So it's all about, do you wanna make a quick buck, and then you're gonna lose a few players here and there because there is just too many issues, or you're gonna cut your losses and say, okay, we know there are things here we need to improve, and we're gonna hold everything just to improve that. Like the whole swapping away from P2P, VoIP changes, the bug fix sprint runs they've done where they're just fixing endless amounts of bugs, and a lot of the bugs they're fixing aren't even written in the patch notes.
Yeah.
That's just the ones that most of the community know about, right? You got some glitches and some other things that aren't even mentioned. And then you got your lighting change coming up soon, which is going to make the game a lot more competitive. I think it's going to feel like a whole another game when that comes out.
Yeah, and they're also doing the retexture, right, on the maps to make it use less memory.
Yeah. Well, first off, it's going to use less memory, and I hope, I haven't seen it yet, but I hope that it's also going to make the maps a little bit more simple. Not in a bad way, but that they become a little bit more competitive instead of too much stuff that isn't necessary. You know, like textures here and there that are changing for no real reason.
Yeah.
So it becomes a little bit easier to spot stuff, and I really have high hopes. And having talked a bit with some of the guys that work on it and that are doing this whole thing, they bleed Rainbow. Like that's their baby, right? They really love and enjoy it. I think it hurts every time a bug is found or a glitch is found. I really think it bothers them.
Yeah.
Maybe at some high levels, someone just only want to make money, but the people at least working on it really cares about the game, which is a really good thing.
Well, the developers have done a really good job. Like, if you look at the other Ubisoft games that have come out over the last 2 years, like, have you played? Did you play the For Honor free weekends that's just gone by?
No, I didn't try it here in the free weekend. I got it on release, and I tried the family and friends and dev test thing.
Yeah.
But that's about the only thing I played of it.
It's like, it's not as I'm not sure the correct word, but it's not as developed as Siege. It's not as like strong.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying that those devs aren't as passionate as the Z1ronic are, because I'm sure they are, because they've worked on it for a long time. But you can tell that Siege has the hearts of its developer.
Yeah,
like,
without a doubt.
For example, and again, this could be the heads up at UB rather than the developers themselves, but they just had the free weekend. But this was before, as far as I'm aware, from what I found from playing, that they moved over to dedicated servers, so you're still having player desyncs and loads of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's just things like that. And then you've got the Division, and
that wasn't my thing either.
no, and Wildlands.
I actually enjoyed that game. Like, I really enjoyed that game way too much.
I think it did okay, but I wouldn't say it was a Ghost Recon game.
No, but I would say the same about Siege, though. So, I played the old Rainbow games, right? And when I played Siege, that was one of the things that initially pissed me off a bit. This game doesn't feel like a Rainbow Six game.
Yeah.
But then, eventually, my opinion changed a little bit with it. Maybe it doesn't have to. Like, maybe it doesn't have to be the Rainbow Six that I used to want, because maybe it's the nostalgia feeling kicking in, saying that you want that because it was fun back then.
Yeah.
But the risk they took with making this game the way it is, with all the old school Rainbow fans, like, that's a big risk, because I don't know, that everyone I've talked to that played the older games don't consider this a Rainbow Six game in the classic Rainbow Six sense.
Yeah.
I really love the game. It's just it's not Rainbow Six Rogue Spear or any of those, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think one thing with Ubisoft is they shoot a little bit too high in terms of what they want to do and achieve. And I think that might be one of the reasons that Siege has had I don't even want to say rough start, because we're at 20 million players now. That's pretty good. But the fact that there's been a bit more glitches and bugs, like, you don't have any single game with this amount of destruction in. And
they could have done more as well, which is crazy. And the engine can handle more. It's just the balancing thing.
Exactly. And I don't get an FPS drop whether the entire map is destroyed or not, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. If you look at something like Battlefield, you can destroy a building, but it's only pre-done destruction. But then if you look at the For Honor and Division and stuff like that, they all seem like they're aiming a little bit too high as well.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have the same love for that game as I do for Siege. Wait, Jesus. I gotta get used to the new hitboxes though. When you're shooting the outer frame of a helmet.
Yeah.
And people aren't dying.
I think they should just remove the helmets if you can't if you can't shoot them. Like,
yeah, but if you look at other games, like CS for example, you have the same. You got a hit at between the neck and the eyes to get a headshot, right?
Yeah.
I think we just need to get used to it. At that point, then it stops being an irritation.
Probably. But Siege has definitely done something that other FPSs couldn't. It's like how tense it is, how the operators are all balanced, and the destruction is just like a perfect combination.
Yeah. I'm very surprised about that whole thing. How everything just seems to work in unison with so many different operators, and yet sure, we could argue that some operators need some changes because of how they're balanced and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that bad when you're comparing to how many different options we have. I don't think I could sit down and just off the bat right away to make everything balanced.
Yeah.
And I imagine they've got to have a huge challenge every time they're trying to figure out a new operator. How doesn't he break, another one, or how doesn't he destroy this meta or change this? And there's so many opportunities and possibilities. Hibana was a huge risk. Making an operator that can open hatches from both below and above, and then open 3 of them, or make small holes in unison with something like Blackbeard or a shield who can then walk up and stand in front of the hole and just be safe.
I remember the Habana Blackbeard combo. That was a great combo.
Yeah, and like now we're starting to see people use Hibana on, for example, border. If you're playing in the small room on top floor, you run a Hibana to remove the hatch from below, because people reinforce that hatch and then sit on it.
Yeah.
Like things like that. How are they thinking about that when they're making stuff? Because we only it takes us a few months to realize an operator's full potential. And I don't always think that they've necessarily tried everything with it, but that's just how the game evolves and you learn new things. Same with some of the destruction or mirror windows. There is no way that they've checked every line of sight you can make with a mirror window, right?
Yeah.
So we find new stuff all the time, and that's what makes this that's what makes me keep coming back to the game, at least, is that I never feel like I truly know everything. No matter how much time you put in, there's always new stuff to learn.
Yeah, for sure. That makes it interesting though. Like the other day, well, a few weeks ago now, me and one of the people I play with just went on border, and we just destroyed the entire map. Like every wall that we could. We just went into terrorist hunt hostage, and then just don't extract it.
Yeah.
And
buckshot and everything.
Yeah. And whoa. Okay, they're at the windows. And like we found new angles which I've not even seen in Pro League or anything, and it's
exactly.
It's just I don't think there's any other game that has this much packed into it, and it's just there's so much to discover.
Yeah, there's no shooter, because if you start looking at something like a MOBA or anything like that, then maybe or I don't know, if you start thinking about something like chess, where a lot of things interact with each other in a really fancy way, and everything you do, there is X amount of possible counters and stuff. When you look at CS and you look at a split B take on Dust, there is 2 ways of doing that. There's only ever been 2 ways of doing it. Sure, you can change a flash a little bit, or you can move your smoke 2 meters to the left or the right to move the way your entry fragger is getting the first kill and stuff. But that's about it.
Yeah.
Then it comes down to who's best at doing the basic stuff. But in Siege, someone comes up with a strat, and it's impossible to make a perfect strat in Siege, because you only have this many things you can use, like gadget-wise or reinforcement-wise. So you'll always be a little bit weaker in one end or the other. And then a meta develops where people keep, countering. They go the way that the strat allows them to go. Then you see a month or 2 go by, and one team or one player or someone figures out a way to just demolish that strat. Yeah. And then the entire meta of that map just changes. If we look at CAF, for example, as we're playing now, the way to hold train room downstairs, that's changed from having people on site to having almost everyone top floor to now having everyone in the corridor.
Yeah.
And if you go back to the first matches that was played competitively on CAF, and you showed them that, everyone would have laughed at it. Because it doesn't make sense. Like, why would you play it like this? You can just play on site and do this and that.
Yeah. But I remember, I think it was Flipside, but I could be wrong, that did the They did the defense where they like just completely left train room open, and then they just held mining room and the fireplace.
Yes.
That was like a really shocking thing for me
Yeah.
to see that. But I mean, it made sense, but it was just like, whoa, what's happening here?
We I remember we pulled Bar off on Chalet,
Yeah,
and everyone was like, "Are they dumb? What are they doing? Bar is bad." But you gotta think about it this way: as the attacking team, when you see a guy or you see a team playing Bar, the first things that go through your head is, "Okay, guys, just slow down. They're playing Bar. Something went wrong. They're being weird.
yeah,
Just take your time, and we're gonna attack it this way." But Bar is so simple to attack that people are most likely to attack it the most simple way.
Uh-huh.
So if you throw a few tricks in, there is no way that they have time to drone it all out and figure the whole strat out. So if you just pull it once or twice, they're just not gonna know.
yeah.
And that whole catching people by surprise thing, it really works.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the when Flipside went cash room, which people have started playing on Oregon. They've started playing the what's it called, the tower, a lot more.
Yeah, big tower. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was fun because in season 1 that was actually a good place to be.
really.
Yeah, Penta played quite a lot of tower, and so did G-Bots back in the day. And then that whole thing just completely disappeared. Blackbeard came out and just didn't make sense. And the rule with tower have always been, if you get the top portion of tower, you win. That's it. As an attacker, if you can clear top floor and get the top balcony there, the defenders don't have a chance.
Okay.
But now people are breaking the bottom part of the barricade, looking under a pixel to everyone rappelling up the side of the tower. You got a guy in garage shooting through the doorway there to the other side, and that's what's so enjoyable, that you got old maps but new stuff on them over and over again, and all it takes is either time or one new operator, and the whole thing changes.
Yeah, that's holy shit.
Well, that was
That's a really good way, or a really good advertisement for the game itself. Like how unique it is in that sense.
I seen you do your history of this and that map. That would actually be a fun thing to see at one point, like how strats have evolved.
That's not a bad idea, actually. Yeah.
From going all the way back to something like season 1, and then looking at, for example, Oregon or just whatever map, and then see how is the setup changing? How many things are stable? Because if a thing's been stable over, let's say, 2 seasons, then there's a very good chance that is just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because no one else found anything better to do in that amount of time, then surely it must be good. But then if you look at all the things that's changed, just kids' room in Oregon, like you used to have always 2 or 3 people playing in kids' bedroom.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't really work that well anymore, because then you cut off the one door they can run out, you put people in both windows, and you destroy the entire floor. Good luck. Then it's not nice losing 2 or 3 people in there that can't run out. You can just keep tossing nades at them until they die.
I think Oregon is probably one of the maps, because it's the most liked usually. I think it's one of the maps that's had the most meta shifts.
Yeah, I don't think you're too far off there, yeah. But on the other end, you could also say that, seeing as it's one of the maps that are played the most, it's only having those shifts because people take a chance here and there because they simply don't know how to beat the current meta.
Yeah.
Because when something's very, very well developed in terms of strat and ways to attack and stuff, it really takes some balls to try and do something new. Because if it fails, you're gonna get a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
But if it works, you're gonna get praised.
Yeah.
So it's a big gamble. Instead of just playing the default that everyone would do, we've seen people play kitchen and kind of pull it off on Oregon as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, no one ever thought that was possible because you got a door from the outside, a huge open room, and the small tower with no rotate or flank routes. The only way you can get there is jumping out of a bathroom or run over from the top floor.
Yeah.
And people still manage to play that side and actually win it on defense. So,
would you like to see UB redo some of the maps? Like, not so much the layouts, but more like the objective locations.
I think there's a few. I think there's a few maps where it would make sense to either block off one or two of the reinforced walls, or not reinforced, the soft walls. Sorry, make them just map reinforced. For example, Favela.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking.
Favela would actually change into a playable competitive map if they would just remove the soft walls on one of the bomb sites per bomb site stack, if that makes sense. Then you could play it, because then you have enough reinforcements to do. If you look at the yacht, change the lighting there, but they're gonna do that though, right? So that's an actual thing. They're changing the lighting. So hopefully the yacht is gonna be a complete different map to play when that's done.
Hopefully, yeah. See, I'm a fan of yacht. I don't know. I think I'm alone in that most of the time, but I only like yacht on bombs. Yeah.
I really love the layout, but I can't play it. Well, I can play it, but I don't enjoy the overly white saturated hurts my eyes thing.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing. A lot of people play with high vibrance and stuff, and walking around in there, just you get eye fatigued, if that's even a thing, very fast.
Yeah. I can see why people don't like playing it competitively for sure, but I quite like the little engine room with the two bombs up like right opposite each other.
Yeah. No, I truly enjoy the map. I want them to change some of the coloring.
Yeah.
My favorite map is Clubhouse. I think I'm pretty alone in that one though.
From what I understand, most people like Clubhouse, but I don't think they'd put it as their favorite.
The problem with Clubhouse is that the two bomb sites you have on top are... Alright, if I put it in a nice way, they're really, really shit made.
Yeah. Are you talking about bedroom and cash room?
So bedroom, you got two hatches, right?
Yeah.
Can't be reinforced, that look almost directly into sight. And you got a double set of outer walls. One can cut off an entire corridor, the other one looks into outer sight. And the only place you can realistically do anything about that is by being in cash room, which also has a hatch that looks directly into it.
Yeah.
So the map flow on top floor is just really bad, completely different. A little indestructible bridge, or a tunnel, I guess you call it. I don't know what the correct term would be for that. But I love the map because that forces you to come up with some really weird stuff. Something like you play in strip club and open up the soft wall there, or even the hatch in strip club to get an angle up to people standing on top of the roof and jump outs from, like, when you rotate, when you're playing bar, for example, a good rotate is to drop the hatch and run basement and come up the stairs there, or run all the way up in dirt tunnel, C4 a hole, and then run your bandit or your Jaeger from the tunnel back into kitchen.
Yeah, I love that flank. That's such a good flank.
It forces you to do some things that are just, they're crazy. Like, you're so risk reward based.
Yeah.
Compared to just having a safe pick and just playing it safe. That's what makes me enjoy that map so much. And even basement now after Hibana, you can't just put 5 people on site and just sit there, because if you do that, you're going to lose.
Yeah. See, what I'm hoping that Ubisoft are going to add is an operator that can deny those roof hatches a bit more. So someone that can combat a banner on the roof hatches who isn't just bandit, where they can instantly shoot it out, or mute in a like on Oregon you can put the mute on the table and sometimes it will block some of the pellets if they miss them.
Yeah.
And someone that can deny the roof hatches on those, like the roof that's on the roof that you can't reinforce, like the ones on Clubhouse are a good example. On Coastline, the one in the bathroom in Penthouse, is another good one. Where there's just like no way to combat that.
I did a lot of thinking about that as well. There's a few problems, right? Because if you make it an electronic based thing, then Thatcher just becomes a must pick. And that's one of the things you don't want. You don't want to force must picks. If you make it any kind of indestructible gadget that you could possibly place from below, then I guess some sites go back to being just as strong as they used to be. So Clubhouse, for example. So I was thinking more something along the lines of imagine a little remote control grenade thing that shoots pellets that only do enough damage that it'll take half your health or something. Something like an impact nade on defense. But you could place it on a roof and that you could then it shoots straight down or something like it. So you could challenge you could challenge hatches that way. I think that would make more sense. Yeah, I'd like to see something that interacts with hatches as well. I'm just very
Yeah, I don't know how it'd work, but there has to be. I'm sure Ubisoft have got.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they probably know a way of doing it, but it can't be an. I guess maybe they can make it so Hibana charges has like it takes 2 Hibana charges to blow it, right? We've been talking about that as well. If let's imagine you have an operator that can reinforce a reinforced wall, so his is like a double layer thing. Then garage spots become a bit more fun. On Consulate, you could he could have 3 let's say extra reinforcements or whatever you want to call it, so you could improve the walls on the garage and Consulate, so you can only get one of them open with a thermite charge because it would take 2 to get it open. But don't you then just run into bandit tricking being way too strong all of a sudden, because you just let him blow one side and then that's the only wall you have to bandit trick.
Yeah.
And if you Hibana, well, does that then mean that you have to Hibana a hole and then Hibana a hole inside that other hole?
Yeah.
Because that leaves an opportunity of Hibana charges not necessarily bugging, but if you don't line it up perfectly, it's gonna be wonky. So that's one place where I have a shit ton of respect for whoever designs the operators. The amount of thinking they have to go into to make them useful and not bad and not immensely overpowered. Like Echo, for example, he was not that good when we tested him the first time because he wasn't supposed to deny the bomb plant.
Oh, okay. I always thought that was a bug, and they kept it.
Yeah, that was not intended, at least from what I know from when I tested it.
Yeah.
And that's now a thing, and it's really, really good. Because otherwise, just disorientating people, that doesn't really do that much. Sure, he's amazing against Monty, but...
Yeah, it doesn't really I'm gonna fuck that word up. But it doesn't really blind you that much either.
No, only if you keep running. Like, with Echo, if you move, it gets really bad. After, like, if you're Ash and you sprint while being drunk, it really gets bad. But the initial hit, if you just sit still and then remember that your right crosshair, so it splits into 2, the one on the right side is always the correct one. If you just remember that, then it's not that bad. But your whole vision like shrinks in and gets blurred on black on the sides if you keep sprinting. So it definitely stops people from just sprinting through everything, but they shouldn't be doing that in high-level competitive anyway, then they're probably going to get shot.
So, with the streaming and stuff, was streaming something you did before you started playing competitive, or was it something that you did because, like...
I only started because a friend wanted to watch me play Siege. It was back like a little bit before Season 1. He just wanted to see the quality of the game.
Okay.
And I was actually trying to get him to buy it, I think. Then it ended up being a little bit more fun than I expected, and there was a little I kept playing Siege, and then I started playing a bit competitive, and I was like, I might as well just leave the stream on, because it doesn't take a lot out of me to just leave it on.
Yeah.
And then it just, like, I was surprised when I had, let's say, 10 viewers, right? I was really surprised that 10 people actually gave a fuck about my my gameplay. So I just kept it on, and then it's just gotten better and better.
Okay. Because, I mean, you're quite successful on Twitch, right? Like, in terms of... You're usually in the top streams for Siege.
Yeah. That I think that blew up because of the whole Season 3 final, though.
Yeah.
Because when I had almost no followers, almost no views, and when I came home, I got like 900 followers just on the flight back home. And my first stream after that, I got hosted by some of the bigger guys, and all of a sudden had a lot more views than I was ever used to. And it just kind of stuck around.
Yeah.
I started thinking that, like, it got a lot more fun when you went from, let's say, 10 views to 100. That was a big jump.
Yeah.
But definitely playing competitively helped that a lot. Because if it wasn't for Pro League and that, I don't think I would have ever gotten the kick. I guess the kickstart to streaming that I otherwise did. It's very difficult if you're just trying to stream the game, but you're not getting exposure from anywhere else.
Yeah. Twitch has like a graveyard of streamers with like one viewer.
Yeah.
Which I think...
There's a lot of people that just turn on their stream like I did, and then just either don't really care or just expect it to automatically get big by itself, and it just doesn't.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who like will just stream because they like want to have fun, or sometimes like I stream with my friends just so if it's a game, like only a few of us have PCs, for example, so if it's a game that only we can play on PC, that the others will watch it.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Exactly.
But yeah. But so when was it that you started streaming? Was it
Oh, I actually checked that yesterday. It was 1 year and 7 months ago.
Oh damn! So it's been a
little while, yeah.
Yeah.
I started just before Siege with a little bit of Blacklight Retribution, free to play shooter.
Yeah. I played that.
I played a lot of that. So I started with that, and we got the record in the first run of some zombie mode they put out.
Okay.
And then I swapped to Siege, and I got competitive in Siege. And then that was what made me keep streaming. But I think you need someone to help you out if you want to get somewhere with it, because no one wants to sit in a chat where there's two people and no one to talk to, because people want to interact and chat and all that stuff. And if there's only 2 viewers in there, people might come and say, "Oh, hey, nice game, well played," all of that. But people are not going to want to stay there.
Yeah.
Because it's just too quiet.
So are you like, is Twitch streaming your career now, or do you have a normal job as well?
No. I work as a full-time construction pipeliner.
Okay.
And also have done for 7 years now.
Right.
So when playing competitive and all of that, that has always just been my hobby. If I ever at some point could make a living off it, I'll be really happy. And if I can't, then it's my hobby.
Okay. And I think with the size of Siege, because I was saying this to Emzo on Friday, but I've been I've been watching other esports to kind of learn more, because Siege I've known about other esports, but I've not, nothing's really kept my interest that much. So I've been I watched some CSGO, I watched the recent, I watched E-League and ESL 1 Cologne. The finals of that. CSGO was pretty good. I don't know why I wasn't into that before. That was pretty fun to watch. I watched League of Legends, which I'm not into MOBAs, so that didn't really do a lot for me. But it was interesting seeing like how how much they've got done. Like, they've got a lot of good things. I'm gonna watch Dota at some point. And I watched Call of Duty as well. They recently had the champs. And I was surprised. Siege Pro League had more viewers at the point I was watching. Had more viewers than the COD champs.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that kind of blew my mind because that COD's. Oh shit! Bucks downstairs. Is he really drop shotting every kill? Okay. Whilst COD isn't the biggest shooter esports, I mean, it's certainly the game itself is a lot bigger than Siege's. So I was really shocked that it only had, I think it was like 13,000 viewers when I was watching. So I think Siege is on a good path so far. He's doing well.
I think a lot of I think a lot of esports are gambles from the companies trying to get the games big, right? Because they put a lot of, and you can't just put a lot of money in, put a huge prize pool, and then the game is going to be competitive and last as an esport. For the game to last as an esport, it has to be good. The viewers have to love it. The players have to love it. It's not enough that you can make a living off it, or you just can win a huge amount of money, because there's been a lot of esports that, or a lot of games that flopped because of that. They just put a lot of money into it and then nothing really happens. I think Siege might be doing it the right way, where we're not talking that much money and it's slowly getting more and more and more. They're not, trying out of their minds to just get huge fake new viewer numbers of people that are only watching it because there's giveaways and stuff. It's mainly people that actually care about watching it. You can't win a PlayStation every 15 minutes when you're watching it, and it's like they're there because the game's good and because they want to watch it, and the players are playing it because they want to play it. Whereas some of the newer startup games will start their whole release of their game with, okay, this is going to be a pro game. First match or the first tourney is going to be for $500,000, and then they have the tourney and they have 50,000 people viewing, and then it stops. That's it, done. Never anything else. So I think Siege is going to keep growing. It's been growing ever since it started, and Pro League is getting bigger and bigger every time. So if it keeps this trend,
I think that what they've done with Pro League is really well. How they started with just America and EU, and then it's expanded to Brazil, and now expanding to Asia and Australia.
Yeah.
It's really well done.
I think it's really good as well. Just as long as you can see it gets bigger and bigger every time. It also, there's some promise to it, right? In terms of everyone knows that it's probably going to be bigger again next year. Or not next year, but next season. Just the next upcoming invitational, it's going to be interesting to see how much different that is, or if it's just as big, what the changes are. When we were at E3, I was surprised that Ubisoft had a whole booth just for Rainbow, because they didn't have anything to gain. Like, there was nothing new released, or there was nothing new to show. E3 is normally, for people to show their new stuff. They had 10 sets of, or well, not 10 sets. They had a set of PCs where you could sit down and play versus the guys on the other team, like an actual LAN setup. They did a show match every day with streamers and pro players and stuff at E3. And there was actually a lot of people watching it. Like, people stopped to look at Siege.
Yeah, well, that's really good.
Which was quite surprising. They came out with a lot of new games now. The new Assassin's Creed and the new Far Cry that look pretty big and promising. A lot of money put into it.
The new naval game too.
Although I don't think that was
yes, the Skull and Bones. No, it wasn't. It was only teased there. But all of that, and then they still have showing off Siege with Operation Health.
Yeah.
That shows that they gotta believe in it to have that there, because they're not really gaining any income from that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was risky, but I think Was there many? Were people able to play it as well between the matches?
Yeah, and the line was huge. There was people waiting hours to play Siege.
That's good to hear, though. That's really good to hear.
And when we were playing the show match, I played in 2 of them. The whole, like, everyone around just stopped and looked at that big screen.
Yeah. Damn, that's awesome.
People that sat in queue to play Call of Duty or Far Cry, and they all just turned around and started looking at the show match.
Yeah.
So that was very promising.
That is good to hear. Really good to hear. One more question, if that's all right.
Yeah,
if you've got time.
Yeah.
We got to talk about the beard.
Yeah.
So how long have you had that beard?
Well, this length, not for too long, about a year.
Okay.
But I was, well, I don't know if I was lucky. If that depends on what people consider lucky. But when I was very young, I could grow a decent sized beard from a very young age, and I just never shaved. It gets trimmed every now and then,
Mm-hmm.
kept in check. But I've had it since I was 14. I've had at least some sort of a beard.
Because you have a deal right now with that company, right?
Yeah. I think I'm the only one in Siege that has a private beard product sponsor.
What are they called? I can't remember the name of them.
Borodist.
Borodist, is that right?
I'm pretty much set for life with anything I need for my beard.
Fair enough.
Which is pretty good because it's a fairly expensive upkeep otherwise.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy about that. It's kind of like 50% meme and 50% actual reality and nice.
Yeah.
People always laugh a little bit when they find out.
I mean, it is a solid beard. Like, you can't deny that.
Cheers. It's just fun. Some people have, their beef jerky sponsor or their monster sponsor. I just get free beard all for life.
One quick question. I don't know if you know much about that, but can you explain to me the beef jerky and the G Fuel thing? Like, what is that about?
I think G Fuel is... I think G Fuel is just trying to get into the market, and they're just doing it very aggressively.
Is it just an energy drink, though?
Well, G Fuel is it's just pulverized lemonade, so it's easy to store. That's
Okay.
it. Instead of having 4 huge what do you call them, boxes of whatever's your poison laying around, you got like a I don't know what it's even called, a container, I guess,
Okay.
of powdered G Fuel, and you mix it with water, and then you get your skilled drink. So I think for that, it's storage and price they're marketing on.
Mm-hmm.
And beef jerky, I have no idea, but it tastes good, man.
I've never had it, but I saw one of the jerky sponsors. I saw they uploaded something the other day, a video the other day, and someone retweeted it, and I couldn't believe they uploaded it. They were showing off, like, they cooked some jerky or however you do it, then they was cutting it and like showing it off, waving it about. But in the video, you could see there was flies all over the fucking meat and all over the knife and cutting board. And I was like, why would you upload that? And people didn't care either. Someone pointed it out, and they was like, "Oh yeah, we don't care. It tastes good enough." It's like, what?
It's because it's savages eating it, man. they don't mind. I know. I know one of the guys I was at E3 with his organization has a beef jerky sponsor.
Yeah.
That originally sponsors MMA fights and MMA fighters, and they're getting into the gaming now because I think their whole selling point is that, I mean, you can have endless amounts of it laying next to you and just eat it whenever you want. It never really goes bad, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
It's dried meat, so as a snack instead of just eating Doritos, it's a little bit more healthy.
Yeah.
And then if you're a meat savager, then it's pretty nice.
Yeah, I suppose. All right. I mean, I guess I just can't understand. There seems to be like a lot of blind loyalty towards beef jerky and G Fuel that.
Yeah, but with G Fuel, I think that is solely based on their way of marketing it.
Which is fair enough.
They've paid some. Yeah, I mean they've paid some big people to to promote it and to use it, and then they just give them that stuff for free, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same with everything. It's a good way of promoting your product. I just think the whole idea of people believing that drinking Monster or drinking Red Bull or G Fuel is gonna improve your performance in game. Like if you think that, then we're back to the 16.8 million RGB light show on your mouse, making you a better player as well.
Yeah, for sure. I
So
was surprised when I was watching CSGO, they were all drinking water. I'm like, where are the water sponsors at? Come on. Here's the market.
Yeah, the thing is, when you're on most tourneys won't allow you to have any kind of brand on the table.
Yeah. In the
So
LoL
they're
thing
not
I watched,
allowed.
they all covered it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're not allowed to have like a Monster standing on the table or anything, unless that's the company sponsoring the event. Then of course they give you free amounts of that, whatever energy drink it is, and place it on the table, whether you're drinking it or not. So there's a lot of all that, but it's the same with everything in gaming, man. Like, just look at mice, headsets, keyboards.
Oh yeah.
It's all about, if it says gaming at least 3 places on the box, then it's probably gonna make you better.
Yeah.
You gotta have your light show, so your entire home looks like a strip club.
The extreme adverts for like the computers during like tournaments and stuff, where it's like super loud dubstep and some guy with his deep voice shouting about how ultra elite gaming XXX this amazing new PC is. It's like, please, please.
That's pretty much the whole thing in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And your mouse has to have 1 million DPI, even though everyone's playing on 400 or 800.
Yeah.
Because if it has a lot of DPI, then you're gonna kill a lot of people per second.
Yeah. Oh, so stupid.
I've never really understood that whole thing. I get that question a lot in the stream as well. It's like, what's a good keyboard? What's a good mouse? Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Like that's what's good. It's the same with the whole setting thing. People asking the streamers and the pro players, what setting are you running on? Like it doesn't matter. It's the same with asking a football player what shoe size he is. Or what kind of pants he runs in. Like your performance is not based on your hardware, and it might have some minuscule effect on what you're doing, but it's not gonna make you win or lose a game ever.
Last question then. Is there any like of the aiming websites or any games you would recommend for improving your aim?
For improving your aim, I would advise not worrying about improving your aim, but improving your crosshair placement.
Okay, all right.
Because the less you have to aim, the more you're gonna win. Or the less you have to aim, the less margin of error you have.
Yeah.
So run around whatever game you're playing as your main game, and think about where people are, what the head height level, what the crouch head height level is, all the default spots that people would hide or sit or peek from, and then remember that when you're playing the game, as in you're playing Clubhouse, you're walking around down the hallway. There's no point in looking in the middle of the hallway because no one's ever going to be in the middle. They're going to come from the stairs, for example. So keep your crosshair aimed at that and ready, even as you're moving through the whole map. Always have it where the next person could show up, because the less you have to aim, the more of an advantage you have. Even if the other guy has better aim than you, if he has to get his mouse up because he looks at the floor when he's running, then you're most likely going to win that one.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the whole 20 minutes of aim booster training a day and stuff like that, because either hand coordination and muscle memory improvements don't really last that long. That's why you can feel, if you haven't played video games for a day or two, that you feel a bit uncomfortable with the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to do about finding your right sensitivity as well, because your reaction time, it's not just aiming at the guy, it's also stopping your aim when you're there.
Yeah.
So you don't over aim. So find a sensitivity that works for you, that makes you not over aim or under aim, based on what your human capabilities are, or whatever you want to call it. The difference between your eye seeing it and your hand reacting to it. I think that's way more important than than having, you know, flick aim precision training thing, because all of that is going to be done by you panicking, and you're not going to get yourself to panic when playing aim booster.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best advice I can give, is
Okay.
to not worry too much about getting the inhuman scream one-tap aim thing, because that requires you doing it for X amount of hours every day and never having a break in between, or you're going to forget it all again.
Yeah.
And crosshair placement is something you can sit down and do even though you're out of your comfort zone. You're going to have good crosshair placement even though you haven't played for a week. That's something you think about, not something you I guess it's not a I guess it's a skill, but it's not a skill you can lose.
Yeah.
It's something you just choose to do.
Yeah.